This is John Presco, the master of our age, follower of Mira Baba and Krishnamurti. When I was younger, coming into my being, my full title, the Master, it's been a process. And I've resisted it all the way. And it's been resisted all the way. One of the keys was looking at my birth and my mother's dialogue concerning my birth. There was an amazing star shower on October 8th, 1946, that began minutes after I was born. The sun went down at 6:01, I was born at 6:02. It's probably another hour before the light completely in the west, that beautiful rainbow, disappeared to expose the inky blue night and 1,000 of stars that began to appear. There was 1,000 an hour. So this is probably, these stars were very visible a couple hours after I was born. And it wasn't a C-section. And my mother said she was too spent to go to the window and see the stars. And the nurses were beckoning her, Rosemary, come look at all these stars. It's beautiful. And there she was in bed, I guess cradling me under her arm, her second born. So she said, Rosemary Rosamond, born Rosemary Rosamond, said, there's something during the pains of giving you life. This almost divine message came to me. And I forgot what it was. I said, I got to remember this. But I forgot. So the last couple of days, that all came back to me. I put those words from her together, and I discovered that it was negating this event, this miraculous, even divine event, where her son's born, right after the sunset, when it's a beautiful marmalade sky, which I love to paint. I didn't realize I was born at that time until I got my birth certificate. Let's see, 6 years ago, so I could get my passport. There it was, 6:02 p.m., October 8th, 1946. And you can see the painting of my angel up there. It's that sky. The sun is just touching down on the horizon. My angel appears. I almost painted her with wings. And she's bringing this Japanese glass ball, which looks like the earth. It's a green jade glass ball that looks like the earth in her hands. So this is really a painting of my birth. And when I had my reading at the Berkeley Psychic Institute that reads you as a rose, they do an illustration, a guy in the back draws you as a stemmed rose. The seer said, I'm not supposed to close my eyes. After my mother attacked her, there were two seers with a guide in the back doing the chart and painting the rose, and the two the two readers in front. She was about 23. He was about 24. They were young, a man and a woman. And as we prepared to be read, I could see that her eyes were just agitated. They were just moving rapidly. And the guide noticed it in the back. He says, "What's wrong?" She says, "It's his mother. She's right in my face." She said, "Attacking me. She doesn't want her son to be read." I'm looking, well, sounds like my mother. Sure got a hit on that. When Marilyn was 15, she went in to confront my mother about the hold she had on me. I said, "Don't do it." And a couple minutes later, Marilyn's screaming, and I go in the house. There's Rosamond. She's got Marilyn by the hair and slapping her face, and she's screaming, "No one tells me how to raise my son." You know, so this, seen it. And this 23-year-old psychic girl is seeing it, and she's attacking her. You know, she could have grabbed her hair and slapped her face. She would have, because my mother didn't want the truth to be known. So the guy says, "Put up a white barrier." 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Make that 2 white barriers. That's what he said. But you know, an extra barrier. The first one wasn't working. Like the monster of the Krell, in Forbidden Planet. She's coming through. Tells them that my mother's a powerful entity. Is that power for good or evil? So the first thing the 23-year-old guide says, and she was kind of good looking, she says, "You own your own creation. You died." Wow. Talk about a pregnant moment, huh? So here we were. Like, okay. And the two seers started smiling. And the guide said, "Is this heaven? Are we in heaven? Is this proof there's a heaven?" And I looked at their smiles. All three of them were smiling. And it looked, the image that came to my mind is that we were like 3 babies in a room, in our cribs, and we were looking at each other, smiling. It's exactly the image that popped in my mind. And the room was just filled with this heavenly light, and I started to close my eyes, and he said, "Don't open your eyes, don't close your eyes." So, my mother did go to the window to see the stars. How could she not? And she did remember the message that was almost divine. And she said she did not. These are 2 blocks in my life that began my life, hours. Within the first couple hours of my birth, my mother was blocking the truth that God intended for me, and she didn't like it because it didn't coincide with her truths. It really disturbed her movie, her book that she was writing. And her mother, Mary Magdalene Rosamond, was very interested the account of my birth, and these falling stars, and what Rosemary heard. And I suspect when Mary Magdalene Rosamond died in 1972, she wanted to speak to me just before she died. And I think she wanted to tell me the truth about my birth that her daughter told her. Rosemary approached me and said, you know, your grandmother wants to talk to you before she dies. And again in her voice was this block that I don't really want you to talk to her. It'll be trouble. Things will go badly for us and the family. And I made a big mistake. I didn't go and see my grandmother before she died. And I felt that she wanted to talk about my specialness that had increased 50-fold after my death on the rocks, McClure's Beach in 1967, just after sundown. But in coming into my own time, coming into my masterhood, to be the master, I realized that all these obstacles were not obstacles. They were preparations. There was work to be done. And if I'd known that Mary Magdalene Rosamond was very involved in the Rosicrucians, and that they were looking at me as a possible, well, I'm going to say it, reincarnation of Jesus Christ, because they chose Krishnamurti, a young boy from India, to be the master. And there was a lot of conflict. And this is going on in the Ojai Valley, where the Weineke family came to live. My grandmother's brother, Conrad Weineke, lived there. He had a couple houses there and a house in Ventura where his sister lived with her 4 beautiful Rosamond daughters. So Rosemary knew all this information. And it probably affected Mary's relationship with her husband, Royal Rosamond. I don't think he was a believer in anything that was religious. I think he was anti-religious. And I think he was upset with Mary Magdalene because she was in the beginning a devout Catholic whose cousin, Mary Dominica Weineke, founded Briarcliff College up in Iowa, and she was the head of the Order of St. Francis that had fled Germany. And they were adopted in Iowa by the Weineke family. They were like their sponsors. They kept them alive. They did not hold jobs. They would be called parasites by Bill Cornwall, my daughter, but I think she's changed her mind now that she's become a healer. And in fact, she wants people to support her as a healer. And this is why this tape is being made, and this is why I was able to transcend the last obstacle, and that was the birth of my daughter and the birth of my grandson. So I'm going to show you a picture of them that they sent me just before the Cornwall disaster. Are they beautiful? Aren't we beautiful? See, then Bill Cornwall, his father, came in, and my daughter fell in love with him. And he wasn't able to conceive a child, and his father wanted a grandson. So they looked at my Facebook and decided I'm absolutely insane. The things I've said before, I said I'm the master. And they were going to use that to take my grandson from me, give it to Bill Cornwall and his father. And there's very few fathers that have gone through this, and I'm going to let that ring. Very few fathers have gone through what I've gone through in terms of being aware in 2000 that I've given birth to a child. And I was not told I was going to be a grandfather. So I was lucky to know that too. So this fits into the category things I'm not allowed to know. Right? Do you see them? How important they are? And they all have to do with birth. Birth of me, birth of my children, birth of my grandchild. People have blocked this severely, altered the truth, hidden the truth. And this is what this seer was encountering before I knew I had a daughter. She was born in 1984. I had the reading in 1987. And the guide, they said that I had 2 children. And he drew them in, but they were very faint. He said, I don't know why they're faint. It was the same woman reader. He's got 2 children, and I don't know why they're faint. Well, having knowledge of your child, existence in the world, fills in the whole flower. I mean, the whole petal. It's vivid. You can see the veins of the whatever. The biology of the leaf. You don't see this faint ghost. So, talking to Marilyn about moving to Carmel and having a beautiful house and owning what I deserve, I said, I can't please everybody. In fact, I can't please anybody. I'm just going to paint over gesso, paint this canvas white with gesso and begin again. I'm not going to touch anything. I'm not going to solve anything. I'm only bringing up the adversity because it's important to this process. So it's like this painting back here, which I've not done. I'm going to make beautiful paintings. They're probably going to be of a spiritual nature. I'm probably going to incorporate Rosicrucian ideas and visions in it. So, I just want to say that what upset my mother was the Rosicrucian influence. And it upset my Aunt June, a devout Catholic. She did not want her mother involved in this. And Aunt June ended up taking care of Mary when she got older. And Rosemary kept saying, it's like, remember that Mark's going to take care of his mother in her old age. So that was the plan. Was my mother only pretended to be a Catholic. She wasn't really a religious person. She just wanted to fulfill family obligations because we were close with the Franciscan order. And she knew that the man she married, Victor Presco, he didn't have a religious bone in his body. So she was eliminating the religious, spiritual nature that her mother had acquired. And there's only going to be, money-earning Germans, breadwinners, no spirituality, none of that Rosicrucianism. I want my son, older son, to grow up to be an atheist and rich and absolutely devoted to his mother to the point where he's going to take care of her in her old age. She didn't say we're going to share that responsibility. See, this is her book. See, and she's writing out. She's doing some seriously editing here. So when I was born under a star shower, and she heard a divine presence saying something about me, she had to negate that. It almost destroyed her because she'd gone up against her mother, gone up against a lot of things, and she'd made the wrong choice. She wanted Mark to be the special one. He would make all Rosemary's dreams come true. I was the subversive. I was more, basically I was Mary Magdalene Rosamond's son. And I believe Mary tried to claim me. I lived with her for about 5 months when I was 7 years old. She wanted me to come down and live with her, and I did. So, here I am. These are my offspring. This is my daughter, she can't deny it. This is my grandson, they can't deny it. Try as they may, they're going up against a profound spiritual awakening, an established order, the Order of the Rosy Brotherhood, because they're going to get this message. I've been looking at the Brotherhood of the Rose Cross here in Oregon. I'll post some of those. So, this is it. All the blocking and the lies and the subversive, all that stuff that has prevented me from living. And that all that stuff resulted in me dying. That's what we're going to talk about next. Okay, well, you be careful out there. It's a beautiful day.